Well, good morning, everyone. Happy to see you here. And actually, I can see some of you, and I can see the names of others of you. So, welcome. For those of you who don't know, I'm Rick Bushnell. I'm past president of the Foundation of the Arts and Sciences and serve as the chair of the Environmental Stewardship Committee. So, I want to welcome you all, and I want to also thank the foundation for making these sessions possible, as I've said in the past, and certainly want to remind people, please support the foundation. We have a very exciting year coming up. Every year is exciting. Camp for kids, a lot of activities, science and arts and sciences, and a lot of things going on, and some live presentations. As a matter of fact, our speaker today is going to be back live in June 17th. So lots going on. Please support the activities. Think about making a donation. Think about joining the foundation, those kinds of things. And thanks um, yeah, to Jenna and to Daniela Kerner, who's the executive director, for taking care of all the details to make things work today. As I've said, all of our earlier sessions on Saturday mornings, we really want to stress that point that everything is connected. And I think our speaker today is going to really help us with that. It's really great. So just want to remind everyone about that, and that we're really thinking about the bigger picture. And certainly stewardship is where art, science, learning, and enjoyment all converge. And the more we know about our environment, the more we know about the things that take place in it and the things to go and see, like we're going to hear about today, the better and better informed we are. So Monday is Earth Day. Get out in your environment and enjoy it. The foundation is having a cleanup, and you can register online at the foundation, or you can just stop by if you forget to register. But there's more details about the exact time and those things out there. So just by way of brief introduction, Gavin Shwahla lives and grew up in Point Pleasant Beach. So he's very familiar with our little corner of the world. And he went to college out in upstate New York. So he wasn't right on the beaches. He was learning about all those things, but he was studying biology, became more involved, and like many others, I think, during the pandemic, was looking for something to do. And so he took his experience and interest in photography and interest in the environment out into the woods and started to document things and make films and videos and those kinds of things. So he grew into this deeper love of the out of doors, amplified by the pandemic, and I think that happened to many of us. So he's got a very interesting story to tell. And he uses a term that I love called rewilding. So he'll tell us more about that. I don't think I have anything more. We will take questions, so please use the chat, and I'll be monitoring those, and I can address them at the appropriate time. If nothing else, we'll get to them at the end. If there's some burning issue, if I see, perhaps I'll interrupt Gavin and raise a question. So take it away, Gavin.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Very excited to be talking to you guys and the LBI Foundation. Um, so I gotta be honest, this is the first time I'm doing it through Zoom. I'm usually with you in person, and I love to feel that energy. And because the way I present this is very much it's a story. Um, that's foremost, I'm a storyteller, and paired with a conservationist. And so, uh, I'm gonna try to do this one a little bit more casual, but really I'm gonna kind of just jump into the story. And the theme of this is to rewild the planet, we must rewild our souls. And through my journey, I want to show you kind of what that means. So let me pull up the presentation. Can everyone see that okay?
Yep, looks good.
Yep,
All
good.
right. So I'm afraid. I'm afraid right now to give this presentation. And if I sit with this fear too long, or if I try to ignore it completely, it'll seep its way into everything that I say next and do next up here. And I will have guaranteed to have walked away, not giving you my authentic self before I even begin. And that scares me even more. So I have two options. I could let this fear consume me, or I just log off and run away. Or I could confront it. I could face it. I could acknowledge fear's presence just for a moment and allow myself to feel afraid. And in doing so, in observing that feeling of fear, I would realize that if I'm observing it, I cannot be the fear itself. And therefore, it's something that my mind and my body created. And therefore, something that I have the power to control, to change. And then, in realizing this, I would permit the fear to pass through me. And instead of focusing on that fear, I would be free to then focus on the beauty of this moment. And then I might feel a sense of calm in fear's place. And then maybe a sense of gratitude. And then all the love. This, in its most basic form, is rewilding your soul. And learning this skill, how to overcome my fears so that my most truest, authentic self might be creatively expressed, has been my life's journey so far, and it will continue to be. Today, I want to share a bit of that journey with you and how it has informed my work as a conservationist and a storyteller, and how I believe that rewilding our souls might just be the trick to rewilding our planet. The first story ever told had nothing to do with nature, or conservation, but everything to do with rewilding my own soul. In my senior year of high school, I made a 30-minute superhero film with no budget. I'd never picked up a camera before. I just had a story that I demanded to be told. And so The Garnet Gull is a story of Travis Finch, a depressed and anxious teenager who wants nothing more than to be able to fly away from his hometown and his family, but then is in a lab accident, is given superhuman abilities, including the ability to fly. But Travis then must learn to see his new situation and his abilities as gifts and as an opportunity in order to discover his confidence and his power to save the town he so desperately wishes he could escape. We showed this film at a small film festival at my school theater in front of 150 people, and I can still hear the applause today. Right after, a family friend of mine ran up and said, "Oh my God, you have to go to film school." I didn't take her advice, but I heard what the universe was saying to me in that moment. Travis discovered his power and learned to fly. I discovered how to express myself through story. This was my superpower. Rewilding your soul has its foundation in science. I did not go to film school, but instead I went to Paul Smith College in the Adirondacks of upstate New York, and I studied wildlife biology, my first passion. There, I got to kind of experience the world and nature and live out this childhood dream of mine. And I got to experience nature in the deeper way that I always craved growing up. The first thing that they teach you when you go to study any of the sciences is the scientific method, specifically the first step in the scientific method, how to observe the world around us. And don't mistake observation for spectation, because when you observe, when you really observe, you are participating in what you're observing. And then from this observation, we ask questions. And from those questions, draw hypotheses. And from those hypotheses, we test them, and then we conclude that we now know something, right? I use the scientific method in everything that I do in my life. It has been one of the greatest tools. College taught me how to think. And through that, again, I got a deeper understanding of the world around me. My two greatest areas of interest as a scientist were ecology and evolution. Ecology being the interconnectedness of all living things and their environment, and evolution being how they change and how their relationships to their environment changes over time. And through applying the scientific method and this skill of observation to these ideas, I came away with these truths. One, we are all the same matter and energy, just only ever transformed and rearranged in different ways. And everything, all life's processes, the universe, works in cycles. And it is by these cycles in which this energy evolves and changes. And evolution is simply this energy expressed. Nature, I always tell people that nature's my religion. And my way of worshiping it almost is become photography, which is essentially the art of observation. And through that, I started to begin to see evidence for these insights everywhere. From the tiniest creatures that nobody would think to look under, just hanging out under logs. From timeless cycles and events that perpetuate life for millions of years. An intimate exchange between a pair of black skimmers, a browsing bear, of course the tides. Who could forget fall? I'm never more certain of these truths than when I am face to face, locked eyes with a wild animal. And there's a moment where there's a mutual recognition of this same energy in each other. Myself and them and myself. Oneness. If we are to rewild the planet and our souls, we must remember this and let it inform our actions. The idea of rewilding came to me around the same time in college, when I was introduced to the work of the renowned naturalist E.O. Wilson. Some of you may know him, but if not, I highly recommend you do a Google search after. He's contributed much to our understanding of the natural world. But it was his goal of setting aside half of the entire surface of the planet as a wilderness area that in order to stave off climate change and the sixth mass extinction, that interests me most. I thought, what a goal for humanity, right? And I love it. I want to see us do it. I say, why stop at half? Um, but I do wonder is, say we do it. Say we rewild half the planet. We bring average global temperatures back down to a safe level and curve climate catastrophe and reverse the trend of the sixth mass extinction. We actually live in a world where more species are being created than lost every day. What is stopping us from creating the same situation we're in a couple generations down the line if we ourselves do not change with it? This is the definition of rewild: to restore to its natural uncultivated state. Let's sit with that for a moment and look at ourselves. If I look at myself, I know that there's more rewilding within myself to do. There's more areas within me to discover. There's more evolution to take place. The idea behind to rewilding our soul, to rewild the planet, is simple. Change, lasting change, starts from within. And when we, happier, healthier, more fulfilled, empowered people that are living their true happiness, are just better, inherently better stewards for the environment. They're more connected to nature and themselves and each other. And I really believe that that's what we need to save the world right now. But here's the thing. I can't rewild anyone else's soul. It's something we all have to do ourselves. But that doesn't mean we're in it alone. And as somebody who has been on this journey in his life, I want to give us an intention moving forward for us to carry into our own lives and make our own. I can't rewild anyone else's soul for you, but I can point you in the direction to go. I can show you what maybe a wild soul looks like, what someone living in their truest authenticity might look, and reconnected to nature might look. And that's exactly what this short film I'm about to show you is all about.
We have an innate connection to driftwood. Every second breath we take comes from the ocean. The rest comes from plants, from trees. It is formed by the things that make life possible. I was very much brought up in an environment of chaos at times. And to top it off, I had a learning disability too. It took me a long time to figure out how to be happy. My first piece of art was a bookshelf made from this old wooden door I found on the side of the road. Then once I started working with driftwood art, it became my new addiction. I wasn't always the driftwood Buddha. My self-loathing controlled my life for a long time. That feeling of not being good enough kept me from the things I wanted to do. But as you move through life, you shed things off and learn to say, fuck it. It's the art of letting go. Once I learned that, I could finally see myself simply as myself. It lets me live in the present, and I'm grateful. I'm fortunate to be able to live this way, live on my own terms. Well, maybe it's the driftwood's terms. Even if I live to be 80, 90 years old, that's still a relatively short time. And what am I going to do? Spend that time worrying about things? Telling myself I'm not good enough? No. I'm going to say fuck it and make some badass driftwood art. I'm going to kiss that beautiful woman. I'm going to get on that plane and take that trip. I'm going to jump on the stage and be the rock star I always wanted to be. I want to experience everything in life that I can. In this ever-growing, ever-changing world, our lives get more and more complicated. We get caught up in the pursuit of wealth and attach it to the pursuit of happiness. And all it does is bring us down. We need to pause and just take a breath. We need to keep it simple. We need to get back to nature and start focusing on the beauty we were born with, rather than the beauty we try to create. Trees have a lot to teach us about how to do this. No tree is ever concerned with if it has the most leaves or if its bark is the prettiest. It takes the light it is given and grows as tall as it can. And that's enough. You don't admire a tree because it looks like all the others. Its individuality is what you admire it for. It's not beautiful because it is something. It's beautiful because it is. This is why I don't like to alter my driftwood too much. Anything I do to it is to make it functional or fun, but the beauty is all its own. Getting to share that and the love of a piece of driftwood with other people is the best part. When people light up because of my art, it doesn't get any better than that. Each piece pays homage to the forces that created it, to the forces that give us life and the lessons of self-love and keeping it simple, that remind us just how beautiful our lives are. You can feel that with every breath you take.
I saw that the sound cut out every now and then, or was it a big chunk, or it came
Initially,
back?
Yeah, they're,
think it was
well,
about 2 minutes.
I didn't know if it was your style or the.
Oh no, was it?
There were times of not much audio.
Okay. I apologize for that. Somebody said it came back, so I didn't think to stop it then. Um, do you want me to play it again, or do you want me to
Well,
continue?
no, I thought it was a very interesting style, making us really think about the pictures that you were showing and what we were looking at. So I think going back and trying to restart all that. However, I think what we want to do is we are recording this.
Mhm.
What I think we want to do is we want to make sure that the next version, maybe we put a link to the
Okay,
to
perfect.
the actual presentation and we can do that. So
Okay,
that's what we'll do.
the film is also available to watch on YouTube or my website as well. So if you want to go back and see parts that you missed, um, that's totally doable. I apologize for that. I wish I could take the silence as an artistic choice, but definitely not. Um, but anyway, to recap, um, I met Brian Driftwood Buddha on the first day of what I kind of consider the first day I was living in my authenticity. That I started implementing this letting go, this fuck it mentality. This I'm just gonna step into it and see where it goes. Um, and I I found myself at Sandy Hook photographing the harbor seals um that haul out over there. And Brian drove up and struck up conversation with me, and we got to talking and talked about how we both by both implementing this phrase, this mentality in our lives allowed us to jump into what we really wanted to do, what we were really passionate about. For me, starting Gavin Wild Visuals, and for him, starting Wood Vibrations. Um, and you know, before he left, he went into the back of his car and he grabbed this piece of driftwood that you see hanging up, and it had that eternal phrase carved on it, and he gifted it to me at the end of our interaction. Um, I have it on my wall and I look at it every day. Um, there, when you are living from a place of love, you're able to say fuck it to the fear and just jump into it and just be, and the universe rises up to meet you. And for me, that looked like I never expected what I kind of consider this glorified Driftwood ad to be not just one, but a multi-award winning short film that won awards internationally and right here in the Garden State. This is universal confirmation. This is what happens. This is what happens when you start rewilding your soul. Um, and to this, you achieve more, and you realize you're capable of more than you ever would have imagined. You you receive more than you ever would have thought to ask the universe for. Um, and you're just filled with gratitude. Brian to this day is still the prime example of this. Um, and he is able to just be him and just simply be. Um, and I just like to share a little bit of like how where this experience of creating the film and everything and this learning to let go took him is he's now out in LA and he's been in several big music videos. One was a T-Pain rap video, and he was showed very predominantly, and he's been an extra in several feature films, including Dungeons of Dragons, and he is just kind of riding this actor life, and it's going really well, and he has no experience in it, and he's killing it. And so just again, so much we're so much more capable than I think we ever imagined for ourselves. Rewilding your soul is inherently a spiritual process. I understood energy through the scientific lens from my work as a scientist, but it wasn't until I met this guy, Kenny Wilkinson, who I refer to as the light surfer, that I started to understand energy spiritually. This photograph is from the first day that I met Kenny. I went out to Spring Lake to photograph the surf, and I saw this guy out there who was surfing unlike any other surfer I've seen on the Jersey Shore. He wasn't twisting and carving or shredding the wave. He was effortlessly gliding with it. He has like a gull just over a glassy wave in the morning. It's cliche, but he and the wave were one. The board might as well not have been there. And I knew that when I was watching him, when I learned to surf, I want to know how to surf like him. So I took his photograph and I went and introduced myself when he came out of the water, and we instantly connected. And what he shared with me is that here I was 22 and he 41, and he was just starting to learn this lesson of letting go, of how to say fuck it in life. And I had just finished Wood Vibrations and started really adopting that in my life. So we instantly recognized that we had a lot to teach each other and we had a lot to learn from each other. And then 2 weeks later, I reached out to him and he invited me to accompany him to Super Tubes, this dream trip of him to ride this dream wave called Super Tubes in Jeffreys Bay, South Africa. And 2 weeks later after that, we were on a plane together with the intention of making a short film about his journey. And I have since scrapped that project. I will do something with this story down the line later in my career, but I just couldn't do it justice with what I had. And what I witnessed there was, we all talk about, we grow up hearing like, why can't we just love each other, right? What a world would it be if we just, in every situation, in every interaction, we were able to just operate from a place of love, whether that be a love for the other person or love for ourselves. I think it's optimized when you're doing both. But there's really not too many examples from that, except maybe like the Dalai Lama or, Desmond Tutu. And so I watched this everyday man. He's an electrician. He's got 3 kids, a wife. Do this for 2 weeks in South Africa. Every interaction, he stepped forth with love and with an open heart, absolutely and completely, unbiasedly. And it was beautiful. But it was also a little scary. And it wasn't until I came back home and reflected on the experience that I realized that Kenny was able to do this because he was able to trust. He was able to trust in himself and his abilities and in the universe. To trust that the universe wouldn't send him anything that he couldn't handle. To trust that the universe was conspiring to make him happy. And this allowed him to kind of that trust allowed him to put himself back into the cyclical flow of nature and that energy. And I think surfers understand this maybe more so than most people, because if you go out with the mentality that you're going to beat the ocean, you're going to conquer the ocean, you're going to get destroyed 9 times out of 10. And the only way to really catch a wave is to give yourself over to the ocean and to trust in your abilities and to trust in the ocean. That's going to send you the most perfect wave, the most perfect time, and that you're going to trust yourself to recognize when that time is. And I know trust is a difficult thing for most of us in our lives. It is for me. But if we can do this, we can better ride the waves of our lives. When I finally understood this, that the energy of the worlds and ourselves and those around us dictate everything, I started to be able to trust it in myself. And I started to see the examples of it playing out in every day. And then I was able to kind of trust it even more. Spirituality to me is really the science of energy. And to measure it, to study it, we don't calculate it. We don't use data. We feel it. It's in this universal energy, this nature force, as I kind of coin it, that we create the changes we wish to see by being aware of our intentions, letting go of the outcome or the way in which our feelings on them, or the way in which things happen, observing the signs and opportunities that are presented to us and observing our feelings on them, and by trusting that the universe is conspiring to make us happy because it is. And I share this picture just because this is the most at peace, just me I've ever felt. And so this, taking these concepts and these skills almost, I implement into my storytelling, because storytelling is really just harnessing this energy again. And with a story, I can then share that energy with other people. And so this is really where it kind of takes my story up to now, and how I start, not through my journey of rewilding my soul, I'm now beginning to rewild the planet. And I'd like to share the story, an example of how that kind of has been successful in a way. So last year in April, I was on perhaps maybe my favorite place on Earth, Topsail Island, North Carolina, specifically the southernmost end of the island, called Serenity Point. And this is the place where I grew up cultivating my connection to nature. I would walk the beach with a dip net in hand, catching whatever I could find. And it is a place that is home to me. My soul lives there. And this particular time, I was driving around the island and I saw a bunch of these yard signs that said, "Conserve the point, no rezoning." And so you can imagine how devastated I felt when I learned, when I looked into it and learned that there had been a application for the proposed rezoning, conditional rezoning of Serenity Point from conservation land to buildable land, to build, for a billionaire to build a private family compound that would destroy much of the natural ecosystem there. And Serenity Point is the last natural area on this island. And so I reached out to the contact information that was provided on the sign, expressing my desire to lend my skills and my services to their cause. And I maybe waited a day till I heard back, probably less, until I decided to just go out and make something myself. And this is what I made. I'm going to start it, but let me know if there's no sound.
Okay, I'll give you the high sign if there's a problem. No sound now.
Did you hear that?
Yeah,
Yes.
Interesting.
not hearing anything.
Not even at the atmosphere or anything.
Millions of years in the making.
Hear that?
Mm-hmm. No. Nope.
No,
It's quiet in this section.
Some might only see grass and sand, but I see a habitat, an intricate ecosystem, millions of years in the making. Our best line of defense against severe flooding and catastrophic storms. A place where things live and die, are born and renewed. And where there is habitat, there is home. A place of pause and a place of refuge, a place of love. That's what this habitat is, our home. Here, people play and rejoice in nature. This point in the universe holds the essence of Topsail Island. Its wild beauty and tranquil serenity emanate from here. To lose it, to develop it, is to reject the island's love. Mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, lovers and friends all come to this southernmost edge of Topsail. They come to connect with the island's energy through its raw, natural beauty. The barriers between man and nature disintegrate when your feet touch the sand. The dunes cradle you with the nurturing warmth of a mother holding her newborn child. And the ocean and sound shake hands, an agreement that keeps this island ever evolving and ever present. The magic of Topsail is strongest here at Serenity Point. Let us keep it that way for all generations to come.
You heard that, right?
yeah,
Yes.
yep,
Okay.
yep.
Just checking. Okay. So sorry, the technical difficulties threw my flow off inside. We never did get an email back, but on the last day of that trip, I went to go film some more, my last scene, one last time. And there, before I started, I just so happened, first person I met, I just so happened to meet a woman who was the one person to start the Facebook page, Concerned Citizens for the proposed rezoning of Serenity Point. I met the person. And she then, I discussed about the video I was working on, and I got more information on the issue, and she put me in touch with some members that were taking a more aggressive approach on this rezoning issue. And so I got this video to them, and early on in the planning board phase, we were able to show this video to in a full planning board and at the town hall with a full audience from local concerned community members. And I wasn't able to make it there that day, but what I was told was that the room, when it started, fell silent. They were entranced. And then when it ended, full applause. And as they told me this over the phone, I could just tell that that was the same applause that I heard at the end of the Garnet Gull. And in that moment, I knew that this video had done what it needed to do. Since that day, those more aggressive community members and myself have started a official nonprofit called Conserve the Point Topsail. And it's been one of my greatest honors to have been invited and to continue to serve on the board of that nonprofit. And I'm super happy to say that this past December, we learned that the application for the proposed rezoning had been withdrawn and that this development was not going to happen. And furthermore, even more recently, just a couple months ago, maybe just a month ago, a partnering conservation organization, the North Carolina Land Trust, has entered into a deal with the landowners to purchase the point, to put all 150 acres of natural barrier island ecosystem into conservation and into a land trust. And so I would not be doing my job if I did not tell you that please go check out the Save the South End. I'll share the link too. And we now are campaigning to raise $8 million by next March to buy the point. And we're pursuing grants and crowdfunding and funding from the private sector as well. We believe it's very doable. And this is kind of it's not over yet, but it's shaping up to be the most perfect way the story could have ended. Now I know that this has not been all because of my video, but I do know that this happened because of the power of storytelling, that we were able to change this narrative and the outcome of this because enough people came together and told their story. Enough people were able to connect with the energy on Serenity Point and then allow that to inform their actions. I transitioned from my role in wildlife biology as a scientist to one as a storyteller because I realized that yes, science informs the world, and as it should, but it is stories that change it. And I'd go even further to say that it is the stories that we tell ourselves and each other that create the world and our reality. For a long time, I felt that there's something missing from the global conservation dialogue, environmental dialogue. And that is something that science's data and money's numbers just can't encapsulate. And it is even more important than the physical health and economic value may be, all the more crucial is the spiritual significance and our place in it to nature. Beyond climate devastation and the sixth mass extinction, what saddens me most is the seemingly deliberate severing of our soul's connection to its source. This recognition of the spiritual relationship and the desire to nurture it is simply a result of rewilding our souls. But just like the fear and negative beliefs that we create in our minds and lives, so did we create this grandest connection to nature on the societal level, no matter how willing of participants we were or may be. And as we now know, we have the power to cast fear aside and let love flow in. And this, to me, is the essence of conservation. And just as rewilding the planet starts at home, it starts within, so does conservation start at home. And so when I looked for my next story, that's exactly where I looked. Because most often the places that we can have the most impact are the ones that are right in our backyard, the places that are in our backyards. And for me as a storyteller, some of the most important stories that get overlooked are right there too. And so when it was time for me to say fuck it again and take on my most ambitious project yet, which is Tommy's Island, my feature-length documentary film that focuses on Treasure Island, or Ninestead Island as it's originally named, in the Manasquan River, and the one local citizen, Tom Morrow, who has become the sole steward of the island and its wildlife, and how we tell the story of how he's been navigating the human and natural pressures that the island faces of the Jersey Shore, and what he kind of needs to save the island. And we do it in a way where the context of Tom's story is set within the larger conservation movement on the Jersey Shore. But before I say too much about that, I'd like to introduce you to Tom and welcome you to the island. And again, let me know if the sound doesn't work.
Okay. It's just kind of spiking.
How's that?
No.
This island's in
There, oh,
Ay, ay, ay. I don't know what to do about this, everyone. Let me see.
Is that out on YouTube?
It is.
I
If you type
wonder if you were to stop
Just
your presentation
play
and
it
just go out to YouTube and click on it.
Okay, let me try that.
While you're doing that, I'll just fill the time by something that you've been talking about that I think is so important. And one of the things that I talk about frequently when I'm introducing people to the Foundation of the Arts and Sciences, that the founder, Boris Bly, very specifically called it the Foundation for the Arts and Sciences, because art and science both start with keen observation. And the best artists are those who can present the texture, the color, the feel from their observation of whatever it is that they're interpreting into dance or music or drawings or whatever. And so I think some of the things that you were talking about really hit home with this idea that it's the observations that are so vitally important, and how you become, as you observe, you become part of that experience. And so I think that was right on. Well, let's try this one.
Yeah, let's come back to that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that anecdote. I agree. Okay, let's try this. Yes.
No. Geez, Just let me think of something. Can you can you mute yourself? Didn't know if there was a,
I think muting before
interaction.
may have been the issue why people lost some sound from the very beginning from that first short film.
right. I just was wondering if there was an interaction between his microphone and the sound, but
Oh.
All right, let's
Ga-
try it
Gavin,
again.
if you send me the link to this, I can put it on the LBIF website too, and everybody can find it on our science page as well.
Okay, perfect. I'll do that too. Let me just try one more time. I'm trying
yeah.
Sure.
mic settings. Yes, no. No?
No,
Did everyone hear that?
No.
no.
It was muffled and then now it's silent.
Right.
I don't know how to stop it.
If, with the others, it eventually came on.
Let's try this. Hear that?
No.
No.
It does look paused as well.
Yeah, it looks as if.
Oh, no, I was trying, like I'm testing a I was testing the audio on Zoom.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay, well, I can please watch the teaser. And I will just
Gavin, do you see a box that says share speaker audio from your settings?
where were that under the
That's in Zoom.
Yes, so it'd be the Zoom settings, either at the top or the bottom.
oh, maybe that's it.
Mhm.
Share sound.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
Ah.
Well, let's just see.
I don't know who that was, but thank you. All right, let's try this. All right.
Yes.
There you go.
This island's important to the community because it's a natural wonder people can enjoy. Every morning I wake up, I see how it's changed. It's in an extreme degradation and needs attention. Folks out having fun, as they should, but they don't fully understand their actions have consequences and a negative effect on the environment and wildlife. I'm sure everybody has a cardinal in their backyard, or a blue jay, or a sparrow that they can't wait to see or give it a drink of water. The island means to me what goes back to my nature, which has always been on the water and saving little ducks and birds. This is just a grander scale. Year to year, I just keep doing this. And I need some help. I want some help. It's a lot.
Well, that
All
would work.
the way through. Perfect. So that's Tommy's Island. And whether Tom knows it or not, he's a wild soul. His intentions are pure. He is, he lives on the river. This island is his backyard. And he's been watching it erode away into the ocean, into just into nothingness. And he's been doing this alone for like past, I think, 10 years, really. He started. He has support from like the state gives him uh signs to put up for wildlife nesting habitat. And part of what makes the island so critical is that it is American oyster catchers are a species of special concern, which means they would be listed as endangered if it weren't for the conservation efforts that we do. So their population is only stable right now because we are doing something about it. And so they're essentially one bad day away from being endangered again. And they are a very critical species to the native habitat. They have one of the only bills that's the oyster shucker knife is designed from their bill. And they are, when we had all of these wonderful, like booming oyster populations and oyster reefs, they were the primary species that was keeping that population in check. And now they feed on other shellfish and bivalves, mostly just because, there are essentially no oysters in the Manasquan River anymore. And that really, Treasure Island is an example of what happens when we disconnect ourselves from nature. And that's where the issues stand. And that disconnection is really if there is a villain of this story, it's that. It's not any one person, it's not any one group. It is just that disconnection. I am telling this story like it's the last story that I ever get to tell. It's my love letter to the wild, natural New Jersey shore. I hope that this film makes people who are from here, from the Jersey Shore, I hope you walk away proud. I hope when you go meet somebody who has like the Jersey Shore show stuck in their head is what the Jersey Shore is, you can say, no, watch this. And this is where I'm from. Right. And for me, I never felt that growing up. And not until recently. And in making this film and telling this story, I am cultivating a deeper spiritual connection to my home, to the place that I get to call home. I have a crew working with me that are amazingly talented, and the teaser says we're looking to film 2024, and we're looking to start, but really major production is looking to happen next summer in 2025. If you are interested about learning more about the film, visit tommysislandfilm.com. Plenty more resources there. And I do want to say, like, this isn't a documentary that is just, here's the issue. It's a documentary that is, here's the issue and here are some of the solutions. There's enough doom and gloom out there in conservation and storytelling, and we're not gonna save the world and create the changes that we need to see from that mentality. And so Tommy's Island is my effort to kind of bring hope into into Jersey Shore conservation and conservation storytelling, in a way that can be fun, maybe even lighthearted at times, but never skimping on the emotional connection and aspects of the characters in it. And that's where kind of we're partnering with other organizations along the Jersey Shore, the LBI Foundation has been a very nice supporter, and in every conversation that we have, and we want to show other conservation groups and the solutions that they're exploring that could be implemented on the island. So then when you watch this film, you're just kind of ready to go. And as a citizen, you know what to ask um your representatives for. And there's no not feeling like you should do more, but just feeling empowered that you might be able to. Currently, we are fundraising for this. We have a fiscal sponsor, the International Documentary Association, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't send a call of action and encourage everyone to go check out. And if you can support us, please do. Primarily, crowdfunding has been the way that we've been able to start this project and continue it. And we really need to get going. And I will close this Tommy's Island segment up with the thing that we stand to lose, right? This island can almost seem like an, insignificant glorified sandbar. And somebody might say, is that really worth saving? And I would say absolutely, because a thing isn't beautiful. Thing is beautiful just because it is. And without it, I think we stand to lose our spiritual identity to our home, all the communities around the Manasquan River. That's what makes this area special. To me, it's the wild heart of the Jersey Shore. So I'll leave you with that.
Well,
And
that's a good place to leave it. And we are a little past 12.
okay,
I think
okay.
the audio problems kind of let us go a little long. But if you do have a closing statement, fine. And we want to make sure that we get those links out at our website, the
Okay.
Topsail link and all the others.
Okay. So just my closing statement. I have a longer one, but this has been my journey, my story. Take from it what you will, leave the rest. However you live happy, healthy, and in your fullest power, fullest authenticity, I want you to do it. As long as it doesn't hurt anyone else or yourself. But if you're really doing it, that won't happen. And because that is how we create a better planet, a healthier planet. And by creating a healthier planet, we create a better world. And the thing I want you to really know is that your soul has always been wild, and it always will be. It's really just about remembering that. So thank you, and stay wild.
Great, thank you. Got a couple things in chat here. One of them is Gavin, thank you for sharing your stories. Continue to share. Your work is important. Another one was thanks, Gavin, for sharing your love of nature, especially shoreline areas. It's good to know that a young film artist is so committed to rewilding these places on our planet.
Thank you.
And others, thank you. Super inspiring, really inspiring. Thank you very much. And I will add, Gavin, as I've hosted a number of these, I always say, when you have the same number of people on at the end as you did in the beginning, you got an A.
Nice.
We only lost a couple, but it was precisely noon, and I know that some people do set down their time schedule and they only have an hour. So I think it was a very, very good, sort of a Zen presentation. We haven't had one like that. So I really like the others who complimented you. I want to compliment you too. Also, I don't know, are you familiar with the Lighthouse Film Festival?
Yes. I
Okay.
am familiar. I have not been yet. I know through I used to work at Say Barnegat Bay, and I met Abby, or not Abby, Amy. I forget her last name. And I know she had worked the film festival a bit, and she was telling me about it.
Yeah, so that's one thing. And then some of the other things, well, I think that the Tommy's Island story will resonate with people on our island. And certainly there are issues all up and down our estuary, as I refer to it, the various bays. So I think it was really a good talk. We want to make sure that we do, again, have those links that you mentioned, and there's no problem at all in promoting any fundraising activity or those kinds of things. I know Topsail, I've taken boats down the intercoastal a couple different times, and that was always a what do we call a landmark. And I believe that there is a surf city right next to
Yep.
Topsail, if I remember. Yeah. So
Yep.
another surf city. Okay, and last but not least, we had it really inspiring, and then another very inspiring. So I'm gonna kind of add those. And everybody, as I mentioned, Gavin is going to be at the Foundation Live on June 17th. Yeah, June 17th. So he'll be there. Monday is Earth Day. And then we'll have a little respite before we have who's our speaker? Sam Gordon on May the 11th. So we don't have a session next week, and we'll be silent until May 11th. And we are about 15 minutes over time, but thank you very much. Sorry we had those technical difficulties. We will have the links to those YouTube presentations out there, and to Gavin's site too. All right.
You want me to email you those?
Yeah, email them to Jenna.
Yes,
and,
please, Gavin. Thank you.
Perfect.
It's good. All right, and thank you, whoever reminded Gavin that we needed to share his audio. Damn, I
Yep.
should have done that first. Okay, great. Have a
Thank you
wonderful
so
Thank
much,
you.
everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.